Welcome to Support Women DJs, the podcast. I'm your host, Rach Brosman, founder of Support Women DJs. We put on raves in New York with all women lineups. In this podcast, we will talk to female DJs and producers to learn about their struggles, successes, and insights into the industry. Today, we are talking to Brooklyn-based J.N.R. grounds her obsession with discovering new sounds in 15 years of classical training and deep respect for club culture. In addition to mixing, she runs the Only Femmes Collective, throwing parties that feature up-and-coming women and non-binary DJs. You never know what you're going to get with a J.N.R. set. Groovy house, energetic UKG, spacey rollers, and wobbly bass are all on the table. Whatever the vibe, she'll make you move. J.N.R.,
hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
We are going to get into your story and many experiences you've had DJing, but why don't we start off with some rapid fire questions today?
Sounds good.
Okay. What is your favorite snack before a show?
Oh man, I'm a sucker for French fries, dumplings, carbs.
What type of French fry, though?
Oh, good question. I mean, if I have my choice, it's going to be a curly fry, but they're not as easy to get, so I'll just take what I can get at this point.
Okay, great. What producer are you obsessed with right now?
Oh man, that's such a good question. It's always so hard to just choose one. I think that my endearing favorite for a few years now has been DJ Seinfeld. I think I love he creates really atmospheric textural music that I think it really kind of crosses over from club to home listening, which I really, really like. But there's just so many. It's so hard to choose.
Okay, that was a good one. What song have you had on repeat lately?
So I just heard this track dropped by Pauro, who she just played nowadays. She's Mexican. I think she's Mexican, but she goes between Mexico City and New York City, and she's just curated this big run of parties in South America. And I was lucky enough to catch one, and she dropped a song by this guy Richard called "Freaked It," which is super, super fun. And I may or may not play it at our next party together. Yeah,
love it. Okay, what is your favorite neighborhood in New York City?
I love my neighborhood. I love Bed-Stuy. I've lived in Bed-Stuy for 5 years or something now. I'm from the South. I'm from Atlanta. It's covered in trees, and I've realized that I really need greenery around me of some kind, and being able to walk around and have the trees and the brownstones and stuff. I just think it's such a beautiful neighborhood, and the vibe is so community oriented, and there's no trains, which is kind of sad, but the buses are great. So yeah, I love Bed-Stuy. It's great. Great place to live.
What is your favorite venue in New York?
Nowadays. Gotta be nowadays. Yeah, I think I really appreciate how, they really embrace taking care of their patrons, bringing bagels and fruit in the morning and stuff. When you've been on the dance floor for a while, it's kind of the little things like that make a difference. I really appreciate no phones on the dance floor, no long conversations on the dance floor. It really makes for
always no phones on the dance floor?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. And it really, really makes for a very connected dance floor experience. Everyone is kind of in the same mindset and very focused on the music, which I really appreciate.
Okay, last rapid fire question. What is your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Libra. Okay. Do you identify with that?
Yeah, I guess in some ways, it's always there's a bit of confirmation bias always with horoscope stuff. I still find it really fun, but yeah, I'm pretty social. Definitely play the part of the mediator a lot of the time as well. Really like for everyone to get along and usually try to make that happen. And very into, aesthetically pleasing things, which I guess is a Libra thing too. So
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Air signs,
Let's get into some more questions here. So starting off, how long have you been DJing for?
Yeah, I'm relatively new to it, honestly. I just started really focusing on it in 2021, performed for the first time in 2022. It took me a full year to feel confident and not
even at a party or anything, just any kind of performance.
Yeah, I basically just did it by myself in my apartment. Well, I B2B'd with a good friend of mine who really helped me to just feel more comfortable. I would say performing in front of other people. We'll probably talk a bit more about this, but even with the classical training, I always got stage fright and I still do to a certain extent. So yeah, it took me about a full year to feel comfortable enough even doing, an open decks. And even in like the first
I think
30
that's
seconds.
pretty normal.
I've heard different things, I've heard some people, they start like 4 months in, and I was like clanging left and right, like still kind of, I wanted to feel like I had the muscle memory for the equipment, before like getting in front of anybody, because I knew that my nerves would get in the way a little bit. Partially too, because it's something that I've been thinking about doing for such a long time. It means a lot to me. And like taking that step to perform in front of people felt like a really big step. I probably made it into a little bit bigger of a deal than I needed to, but I really wanted to feel not only confident going in, but like confident that coming out of it, I would be really happy with, what I did. So yeah, performed for the first time in summer 2022, Eris Open Decks, institution of the nascent DJ scene in New York. And yeah, basically I've just been kind of picking up steam ever since.
So what made you finally decide to learn how to DJ, since you said you were thinking about it for a long time?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think COVID, for a lot of people, I think forced like a reckoning of kind of what am I doing with my time? Am I spending my time doing things that I really care about? I was very career focused for a really long time. I went straight into corporate America at like 22 and was in a series of pretty stressful startup jobs for a couple of years there, like 5 years, that I just didn't have the bandwidth, like the emotional or like mental or just the time, to devote to a hobby. And so I think those things kind of, I got into a slightly better place with work, with more space, was coming out of this crazy time for many of us, saying like, what am I really doing with my time, and how am I defining myself maybe a little bit too much with my career, when like music has always been such an important part of my life. And honestly too, just, having that confidence in myself of like, I have just as much of a right as anybody else to be up there and put something out there. I think I got in my own head a lot. Oh, there are people that have been doing this since they were 15. Like I'm 30,
15.
Just starting. Yeah. V, my co-lead on OnlyFans, she played Pacha at like 15. She's insane. Yeah. Or, I've been doing this since their 20s, kind of had that, that drive to kind of pick it up really early. When I was still doing more of like the classical violin, I was always very, very passionate about electronic music, and was always a big curator, and always had like a library. My friends call me like human Shazam. I'm always kind of that person, but yeah, I think I just realized that I had to stop thinking about it and just had to go for it and do it. And that, yeah, I have as much of a right as anyone to be up there. We're seeing all these dudes who think that they're God's gift to man, playing some mediocre, playing some mediocre stuff up there. And I mean, a lot of it too was my friends. I'm really, really lucky. I have a ton of very supportive friends who really kind of coaxed me along as well when I first started thinking about it.
Were they DJs?
Not necessarily, no. Just like know that I'm all about music, and we're like, girl, when are you gonna start DJing? And kind of pushing me in that direction. And yeah, then like seeing other people around me kind of pursue their hobbies, pursue these different paths for themselves without fear. And really trying to take like inspiration from that of like, what am I so afraid of? The worst thing that can happen is I'm not very good at it. And I think that too, I'm a perfectionist, right? So like,
I'm noticing a pattern in talking to DJs of talking about being a perfectionist.
It's tough, especially as someone that like, when I started DJing, I've been going to shows, going to like specifically electronic shows, dance music events, for years, and have been listening to electronic music for years and years, and so that kind of getting over that hump of that frustration of like, this doesn't sound the way that I want it to, I'm comparing myself to people who make a living doing this, which is silly but hard not to do. When you first start out, you have lofty goals, I guess, or just like wanting to be able to manifest like what's in my head, you know? But yeah, I just basically, and it sounds so, corny. You kind of hear all this stuff about like getting out of your own way. Everyone has their own path. It's so true. Yeah. And I've really found that, especially like, we're kind of doing similar things right now as well on the collective side. And yeah, everyone has their own way of doing things. And that doesn't mean that your way is any less valid or valuable than anyone else's. And yeah, I just had to get out of my own way.
So you've mentioned your classical training. Can you talk a bit more about that, your background in classical music and how you apply that to your music now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm lucky I come from a pretty musical family. So my dad taught himself how to play bluegrass violin and guitar. My mom has always been very into singing, and she also played cello. So I started playing violin when I was like 8 years old or something, and was lucky enough to go to a school in Atlanta that had specialized programs for performing arts, at least in high school. So was doing all through like elementary and middle school as well. But then in high school, I was spending 90 minutes every day in orchestra class. I joined a community youth orchestra, actually went to China with when I was 16. Yeah, we did some performances in China. And then when I started at UGA, University of Georgia, just kept playing and was in another kind of on-campus orchestra for non-music majors, because there's the divide between like a casual or I would guess like the non-professionally like focused classical musician.
So you were not professional?
No, I mean, I wasn't trying to make it my profession, because at that level, you're practicing for like 8 hours a day. It's really intense. I was way too lazy for that, to be honest.
I'm sure you were.
But yeah, it was a huge part of my life for a really long time. I also did a lot of choir and chorus and things like that.
So you sing too.
Yeah, that's a goal for me this year. I want to start trying to sing more, put my voice out there more, maybe do some voice lessons or something like that. But yeah, I think, and the more DJs I talk to, the more I realize a lot of them also have, backgrounds in playing instruments or something along those lines from when they were younger. And I think it really helps just in the getting started phase of trying to DJ. It helps a lot, like I can hear when things are out of tune. I can hear when things aren't like lined up in terms of like beat matching and stuff like that. It really, I don't have to learn music theory. I already know a lot of it just from all those years. So it's kind of, I see it really as like an extension of kind of the same or similar types of skills that, I was learning when I was playing violin. Obviously the medium is different. But yeah, I think it's just helped with having more of an appreciation for different styles and types of music as well. Playing classical music for a really long time. You realize, how much all other forms of music are kind of based off of that, in a large way too. You kind of recognize certain patterns or certain types of, note or chord structures and things like that come up a lot in classical music and stuff. But yeah, I think just the foundation was really helpful. Yeah, in picking up the DJing.
So how did you learn the technical side of DJing anyways?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I actually paid for an online course, Crossfader, just because, again, I was quite confident. I knew I already had the library. I've been kind of like anal about collecting music for a really long time. So I knew that I was pretty confident on that side of things. I was pretty confident on like the musicality, like the musical side of things. But yeah, had no idea how to use the equipment. And I got like a little DDJ 400 that, you plug into your laptop. And so yeah, paid for a course just to try and learn a bit more about, the different effects and how to really use the equipment and how to use the software, Record Box, things like that. But again, I was really lucky. I have a good friend, Jason, DJ named Pastiche, who I went to like a roof party and he was DJing this roof party and he played a remix by KDB, who's this really awesome dubstep vocalist out of the UK and like had a really great album in like the mid 2000s that I'm obsessed with, and he played a remix of one of her songs and I fangirled, and we ended up doing a lot of B2Bing together, and he was about like a year and a half or something like that kind of ahead of me. It was just an awesome person to learn with. I also highly recommend, I think like B2Bing is such a good practice in that like forces you to be nimble. You can't plan ahead, right? You don't know what the other person's going to play. It forces you to kind of learn how to, be more flexible, work with a song that you don't know and like find a way, to mix in and out of it. So that was a big part of my development was like B2Bing with him. And I'm super, super grateful.
I think that's really good advice for new DJs as a way to get into playing in front of a live crowd is B2Bing with someone who has done it before.
Totally. And like I sucked at the beginning and he was really cool about it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But like our music libraries overlapped enough that like even if a transition sucked, the songs were fun, right? Yeah. Or he like got something out of it that way. But I remember the first time we were going to practice together. I was coming to a Pirate Studios. I did not know how to format my USB correctly, so like it didn't work. So I had to go home and like get my laptop and all my stuff and bring it to the Pirate Studios. I was so nervous. I was like shaking just to B2B, with like a new friend. I'd never played in front of anybody before. And yeah, it was just like a really, really awesome support system when I was first getting started. And hopefully I can help someone else in the same way at some point. That would be really fun.
So I would love to talk to you about OnlyFems. How did OnlyFems start?
Yeah, so I actually inherited this baby. So again, super lucky to have the friends I have. My friend Viv, who I was just traveling with for a little bit. Nice. She's my travel buddy. She actually came up with this idea. So I guess I would say like she's a little bit newer to like the electronic scene. I took her to like an all-night DJ tennis event for my birthday in like 2019. And she was like, this is awesome. I love this. Like, I want to do this more. And it's now like a total techno fiend and like can outlast me at any show. She's like such a beast. And I think probably for similar reasons to you with Support Women DJs, she was just kind of sick of seeing homogenous lineups and not seeing women and femmes like represented, on lineups and knowing so many people that were passionate about music that just didn't have a platform to play, that were trying to get a foot in the door. It's so hard to start out and get gigs and stuff like that. And so she came up with this idea. She came up with a name, which is genius. And I wish I could take credit for it.
Do you know when it started?
Yeah. So she started, I think it was December 2022. Okay. Was the first event at Purgatory. And then last summer, like we did a couple of kind of smaller parties that I played and kind of was helping on the organizational side a little bit. But she was really still leading. And then she, again, like boss bitch, she went back to school for software engineering.
Oh, wow.
She was like, I don't have the time to lead this anymore. I think you would be great at it. I think this is like perfect for you and I want you to like run with this. And like V was already my partner V was already doing the social media at this point, but she was like, yeah, you guys, I think like you've got this. Go for it. And like what a gift, honestly. I'm so lucky again, to have people that believe in me and to have someone. I'm not the kind of person that would say like I'm going to make a collective. Like that's just not how I work, really.
But it sounded like you had an interest in it.
Well, yeah, I mean if someone's trusting me with something like this, then I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna really try to make it to do it justice, I guess. Yeah. So that's kind of August I picked it up. We had our first event that I fully kind of ran and like booked and managed on my own in I think it was like November or something. And since then we've had a really awesome run of parties. We've done some collabs. We've had over like 15 DJs do sets for us now at a handful of different venues. We have another party coming up. We have 2 more parties coming up in the next couple months. So yeah, it's been an awesome journey. Yeah.
So I know that I've put on a couple events so far and more to come. And there are many challenges that come with throwing parties. Could you speak to some of those challenges you've had?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's like the existential stuff, right? And then there's the like tactical stuff.
That's a good point.
Because I think too, we're in such a saturated place, right? For this scene, there's 1,000 events happening every weekend.
Yeah.
Again, going kind of back to the perfectionism stuff as well. There's always kind of that layer of questioning, am I doing this right? Am I going about it the right way? Am I doing it justice and like platforming people that, not that deserve it, I guess, but like making sure that I'm being really conscientious about who I'm booking and why. Really trying to make sure that we have, representation across a number of fronts. Making sure that like my motivations for doing this are that I feel good about that at the end of the day, right? That it's really about community building and again, like platforming people that deserve a chance. But also like I don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, I do now, but at least when I first started, really kind of winging it and figuring it out as I went along. There's always going to be something unexpected that happens. Gear is going to be broken. People are going to be running late. Weather is going to be crappy and it's going to affect turnout. There's going to be a last minute announcement of another event that's super similar. And then there's always kind of, always things that come up. But again, I think it's, as someone that tends to, so for my job, I have to plan, large scale like software development projects. That's like my day job. I'm the girl making a spreadsheet for the vacation. Okay. Like I can't help myself. I am spreadsheet bay to a certain degree. Like I just want to know how I'm getting there and where I'm sleeping. I don't really care what happens once I'm there, but, I like to plan if I can plan things out in advance. And it's been a really good lesson that you cannot plan for everything. There's always going to be something, again, like, learning how to be a bit more spontaneous, flexible, and kind of like roll with stuff, when it happens. And then, all the typical kind of challenges that come with trying to grow something from the ground up. Especially, we're trying to kind of stay more focused on kind of like the underground and really platform, artists that may or may not have a following yet. So it's kind of learning how to tell your story in a way that's compelling that will get people to come try something new, and maybe hear some people that they've never heard of and get excited about that. That can always be a challenge too, right? Especially right now, it's like we're so used to being able to just window shop for whatever we want, no matter how specific it is, whether it be like shows or like dating or anything, right? Like we're used to that now. So getting people to take a chance and come see what we're all about, that's always good. That's always a bit of a challenge, but the reception we've gotten so far has been awesome. So it's been a really, really cool.
Yeah. I talk about this a lot with friends, is just like, how do we get people to be more open-minded to different types of music, whether that be genres or new musicians? What would you say to people that typically, they go to the same type of shows, or they like to go to shows that they know the artist playing? Like, what would you say to those people?
You don't know what you don't know, right? Like there's you may discover something that you didn't even know you wanted. That some of my best moments on the dance floor have been when I heard something unexpected and has taken me down a completely new path in terms of like my music taste, or the evolution of what I even want to play, like in front of other people too.
Nice.
I find that really inspiring. At the same time though, some people just like what they like, and that's okay. I think that one kind of really positive thing about the concept behind OnlyFans is that people are, I think, a bit more open just because of the stance that we're taking, right? And you've probably seen that as well with Support Women DJs, that, they may not know exactly what they're going to get, but they like the concept. They align with the mission. They believe in the mission.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps people be a bit more open to, seeing some new baby DJs, doing their thing. We're obviously starting to book more established folks now too, but I think just like staying open, especially if you're in the music scene, so important, right? That's one of the best things about it, in my mind, is the openness, the acceptance, the exploration that those environments kind of engender. And If you kind of silo yourself too much, you're kind of missing out on, one of the best parts of the scene in my mind.
Do you feel that you've ever experienced misogyny in the scene, whether that's in the crowd, as a DJ, while networking? Have you had any experiences in that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone you've talked to has said yes at this point.
Actually, I feel like people are saying that, it's gotten better recently, which that's great to hear.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I haven't had anything, too egregious happen. I mean, there's definitely been moments where, I show up early for a show and the assumption is that like I'm the girlfriend or, there's no way that I could be playing or, we had a party at TBA recently that went really well. And, I'm kind of walking through the crowd, as as the party's going on, you're kind of doing your thing as the organizer. And this guy just kept trying to buy me a drink like over and over again, or like, you're the most attractive woman in here. I'm like, great, thank you. I'm doing other things right now. Kept trying to buy me a drink. And I was like, bro, I'm closing. I'll have like a drink ahead of a set, but I like to be clear headed. And he's like, no, you're not. No way. Yes way, bro. Every other person that's played tonight is a female. Like, why is it so shocking that I would be one of them? Like even at a venue or even at an event that's called Only Femmes, like could not understand.
That's interesting. Yeah,
or just like, being approached by men in the industry. This has only really happened once, but that, say they want to collab on all women events and then can't, want me to put up money toward like an event series, but then can't actually tell me, I ask for, hey, could you text or email something that kind of defines what this is? Oh, well, I don't really do, like, let's just fucking do it. Let's just do the thing. And I'm like, I don't know if this has worked for you before, but it's not going to work with me. And then trying to like touch me while we're talking and things that like, you wouldn't do this if you were approaching a guy that you're trying to work with. And, calling me randomly after I've worked a full day, just like, okay, so who should we book? And I'm like, dude, I can't do your work for you right now. Like I need my time to research. And also you still haven't told me like what this even is, yet you want me to put down, a bunch of money.
Collaborating, but really you're doing all the work.
Yeah. And then like when I give ideas, they're all shot down, and so that was a moment where I was like, this could be really cool. There are a lot of names being like dropped that sound really exciting, but my gut is really telling me like this isn't it. And I would rather go the path that we're going and collab with people that really feel like they want it to be an actual collaboration and not just like them leading the way and me like supporting or ponying up money, But overall, I have to say like very few and far between. Granted, I'm still new, like relatively new to the scene, I'm new to organizing, but overall, yeah, the reception has been super positive and my personal experiences have been really positive. But yeah, there have been some bumps in the road here and there.
Okay. What are some big wins that you've had in your DJ career so far? Some highlights that you've had?
Honestly, doing the thing at all has been like is such a major win. Like I've thought about it for so long, just like taking the plunge and doing the thing. Yeah, has been like such a crazy positive part of my life and change in my life that I've met so many amazing people through this, so many amazing women, non-binary people, and like being able to be a part and contribute to a community that means so much to me has been so fulfilling and rewarding. I think we're kind of starting to really get our feet under us with the events now. And like that TBA event that I just mentioned was honestly so great. It was completely packed. They had to kick people out at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday night. It was like popping all night.
That's
and
insane.
Yeah, the reception was crazy.
Wow.
The venue was super happy, like that was really great to really feel like we hit our home run, because a friend of mine who is like pretty established DJ, he told me about his theory of like gig karma. So like for every great gig, there's going to be like a really shitty one, like it's always going to balance out. And like that's kind of how I found it, right? Like, and especially when you're first starting out, like it can be rocky as you kind of get your feet under you. I know you guys had like a amazing success your first event out the door, but like we definitely took a little bit of time to figure out and like get our feet under us and start like building the following. So having that kind of no questions, this was awesome, you know, like that was really great. As a DJ, you know, having people reach out to me to play is like still feels like so special and amazing, which is awesome. Thank you. Is great. And I guess most recently, so I recorded a mix and I hit up XOXA. It's like a pretty established collective here in New York. They've been going forever. They're about to have like their 7-year anniversary at Good Room or something. Been going on forever. Cold emailed them this mix and went back and listened to it afterward and was like, oh God, this is so bad. Like, oh my God, so many mistakes. I shouldn't even, hopefully they don't even read the email and I can just like re-record it when I get home and then I'll like send it to someone else, you know? And like a week later, I get an email back. Hey, we'd love to release this. This is great. We actually, you know, and actually want to release it next week because the person that we were supposed to have lined up like didn't end up getting the file to us in time. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for saving the day. Like them thanking me, you know, which was crazy. Always just a good reminder, you know, that we're our own worst critics. Just to have that self-confidence and not be quite so like nitpicky. Easier said than done. Mm-hmm. But that was a really nice like reaffirming moment.
What about any struggles that you've gone through as a DJ? We talked about the event side, but in your sets or maybe in starting and like booking your first gigs or anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, luckily, I guess I haven't really train wrecked in front of like other people, thankfully. Although I did kind of, so I played my first gig abroad recently. So I played at like a cocktail bar in Mexico City, like this like rooftop cocktail thing. My friend Lucia Hayes, she's also a DJ here in New York. She made the connection for me. Also just amazing. I love this community. It's so cool. I like mentioned that I was going to Mexico City and she got me booked, which was...
That doesn't surprise me as I've been talking to so many women DJs here. Everyone is...
Yeah, it's great. And I was playing on CDJ 900s for the first time that I haven't played on before. And the way that you set loops on them, the way that you release loops on them looks completely different from how it looks on the later models, and I just haven't used them before. And again, it's like you just never know what's going to happen. And my first transition just clanged horribly. It was so bad, but picked it back up again, and it ended up being a great rest of the night. And ended up making some really great contacts there. But overall, I mean, I've been lucky. There've been moments where maybe turnout wasn't great, and so we got cut off earlier, and like a set got shortened. Supposed to be an hour and got shortened to 45 minutes, and I found out as I was starting to play, but again, I think it's at the end of the day it was a good thing because it forced me to kind of think on the fly. Okay, I'm going to shorten my set, but I still want it to have that kind of energetic crest in the middle and stuff. So how do I kind of like tighten this up or refine it like in the moment? I tend to still like to kind of at least have something a little bit planned, although I'm trying to get better about just kind of winging it. But again, perfectionist vibes. But yeah, I've been really lucky, honestly. I haven't had anything that like really stands out to me as super negative or like really bad. I'm just grateful to be able to be doing this at all. So trying to, if not, even if it doesn't go well, at least like learn something, from it.
That is the motto. Agree. So I know that in Rapid Fire, you mentioned a few venues that are your favorite in New York. Could you talk about just some more of your favorite venues or types of venues? Like, do you love a smaller show or a bigger show? I mean, I'm sure that you have many more large shows coming up in your career that will happen. But like, what's your favorite type of venue or crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm so early in the DJ career now, in the DJ stuff that I haven't played at a ton of venues in the city, but I do love a mid-sized, like a Jupiter Disco, really fun, also fun learning how to play on the rotary mixer there, and the staff is just like super, super sweet, and the bookers took a chance on us like very early on as well, so like super grateful to them for that. TBA is also really nice to play. Just I think like the size of the room is nice and the setup is really nice. Like they have great equipment, which is not always a given. So that's been nice. I think For myself, honestly, I appreciate, as like a club goer, I appreciate all different sizes of venues. Again, like nowadays, I think partially also because of the outdoor space. I always like to take break. I'm big like about breaks, go like sit,
going all night,
chit chat, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Eat a banana, hang out. They make it really easy to do that. I love Knockdown Center though too. Like that whole complex, I think, especially they've made some like upgrades lately, and now they have like a bar in the back, like a more of a lounge kind of in the back of the space. They've added more seating. I think any venue that I see, I can see where the money's going, and I can see that they are trying to enhance the experience for the people that attend, and not just like squeeze as much money as they can out of it.
Any
really
place
nice.
with a lounge area that you can take a break on, I'm like, that is somewhere I want to be.
Yeah, and I love that they use the entire space. They have the outdoors in the summer, the inside and everything. I'm really excited for Wire Festival this year, and the tickets were super affordable for the early bird too, which is really nice as well. I think like we get so used to paying New York prices for everything, we kind of forget like how out of reach it is for a lot of people to engage with the scene as a result of that. And so I always appreciate those bookers and venues that always try to give people an avenue, or have really reasonably priced early bird tickets and things like that.
If anyone's listening outside New York, could you tell them like what prices for shows or festivals are usually like here?
Yeah, anywhere from like $15 to $75. I mean, it really depends. Like I just paid $45 for third release tickets for a more underground party. Basement first release. Basement, one of the biggest techno clubs in New York right now. Very hot, very in demand, I would say, based on the line to get in usually. Their early bird tickets are $17, so that's really nice. But if you're going especially to some of the bigger names or bigger venues, you can easily,
it could be over 100 today.
Yeah, you can easily top $50. Which when I tell people in Europe that, they're shocked and appalled, which I totally get. So it's always like those venues that really seem like they're trying to contribute something to the community and be inclusive in their way. Obviously margins are tough in New York, especially with rents and things like that. But that's nice to see. Basement's also always a good time, especially now that they have studio open. That's usually where I end up spending most of my night is in studio. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick. I think like Elsewhere is also great. I love that you can kind of go on your own little adventure. And there's lots of different, again, lots of places to sit, lots of different vibes within, the same kind of confined space. You can kind of run around in there. We're really lucky, and it seems like there's just new venues opening up.
It really is.
Constantly,
yeah.
Which is exciting. It's just, so grateful to be living here and have all these options every weekend. It's pretty awesome.
J.N.R, where can we find information on you, mixes, etc.?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at JessNellRob, Nell, my middle name. You can also follow OnlyFems, only.fems.nyc on Instagram. We're posting all the time. I post all my shows on my Instagram as well. We've got a couple of fun events coming up, so would love to meet more people in the scene. We're also always looking to expand our roster, so if you're a new DJ or even an established DJ, you want to get involved, come by a show, say hi, shoot us an email. Happy to hear it, and always looking to connect with more people.
Awesome. Okay, that is it for the podcast today. Goodbye, everyone.